The flickering neon sign of the Starlight Motel was the only thing cutting through the oppressive darkness of the deserted highway. Rain hammered against my windshield, each drop like a tiny fist. My car had given up the ghost about 10 miles back, and this rundown motel was my only refuge. The man at the front desk was skeletal, his skin stretched tight over his bones, and his eyes seemed to hold the weariness of a century. He slid a tarnished brass key across the counter. "Room 314. It's the only one we've got left," he rasped, his voice like sandpaper. "Top of the stairs, end of the hall." I thanked him and dragged my suitcase up the creaking staircase. The air grew colder with each step. The hallway was long and narrow, lined with peeling floral wallpaper that seemed to watch me with 1,000 faded eyes. A single bare bulb swung gently overhead, casting long dancing shadows. At the very end of the hall was a dark wooden door with the numbers 314 nailed crookedly into it. As soon as I turned the key, a wave of stale, cold air washed over me. It smelled of dust, decay, and something else, something sweet and cloying, like old perfume. The room was sparse. A lumpy bed, a small wooden desk, and a wardrobe with one door hanging slightly ajar. The only window was streaked with grime, looking out into the relentless black rain. I was just glad to be out of the storm. I tossed my bag on the floor, kicked off my wet shoes, and flopped onto the bed. The springs groaned in protest. I must have drifted off because I was startled awake by a sound. A soft rhythmic tapping. Tap, 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 tap. It seemed to be coming from inside the wardrobe. I sat up, my heart starting to pound in my chest. It's just the old building settling, I told myself. The wind, but the tapping continued, steady and deliberate. Hesitantly, I slid off the bed and tiptoed across the cold floor. My hand trembled as I reached for the wardrobe handle. The tapping stopped. Silence. I held my breath, listening. Nothing. My mind was playing tricks on me. I turned back towards the bed, but then I heard it again. This time, it wasn't a tap. It was a whisper. A faint, raspy sound like dry leaves skittering across pavement. It was so quiet I almost missed it. "Help me." My blood ran cold. I froze, straining my ears. The whisper came again, a little clearer this time, seemingly from right behind me. "Please, help me." I spun around. The room was empty. The wardrobe door was still slightly ajar, a sliver of blackness within. The whisper had sounded so close, so real. I backed away slowly, my eyes darting around the room. The shadows thrown by the swinging light bulb seemed to writhe and twist into unnatural shapes. Then the light flickered and died, plunging the room into absolute darkness. Panic seized me. I fumbled for my phone, my fingers clumsy and numb. The whisper was back, louder now, filling the small room, coming from all directions at once. He locked me in here. He won't let me leave. It was a woman's voice, filled with a desperate, chilling sorrow. I finally managed to turn on my phone's flashlight. The beam cut a frantic path through the darkness, landing on the wardrobe. The door that had been ajar was now wide open. Inside, it was empty, except for a single, white dress hanging from a hook. It looked old-fashioned, like something from a bygone era. It was pristine, untouched by the dust and decay that coated everything else in the room. My light beam traveled down the length of the dress and fell upon something on the floor of the wardrobe. Scratches. Deep, frantic scratches gouged into the wood. They formed words. "Help, mum, let me out. 314. The same numbers as the room. A guttural sob escaped my lips. I had to get out. I scrambled for my suitcase, not even bothering with my shoes. As my fingers closed around the handle, the room door slammed shut with a deafening bang that shook the entire floor. I ran to it, twisting the knob frantically. It wouldn't budge. It was locked. Trapped. The whisper was a scream now, a tormented wail that clawed at my sanity. "He's coming back. He always comes back. I pounded on the door, screaming for help, but my voice was swallowed by her cries. Then I heard footsteps in the hallway. Slow, heavy, dragging footsteps. They were coming closer. Closer. They stopped right outside my door. The doorknob began to turn slowly with an agonizingly loud click. I backed away, pressing myself against the far wall, my phone's light shaking violently in my hand. The door creaked open. A tall, hulking silhouette stood in the doorway, blocking the dim light from the hall. I couldn't see a face, just a massive dark shape. He stepped into the room, and the door swung shut behind him. The air became impossibly cold, and the sickly smell of old perfume was suddenly overpowering. The woman's screaming stopped, replaced by a terrified, choked whimper. The figure took another slow step towards me. I aimed my phone's light at it, and for a split second, I saw him. It was the man from the front desk. But his eyes, they weren't just weary anymore. They were black, empty pits, burning with a cold, ancient hatred. A twisted grin stretched his thin lips, revealing rows of yellowed, sharp teeth. He raised a hand, and in it, he held a tarnished brass key. The key to room 314. "You're a guest in her room," he rasped, his voice no longer human, but a low, demonic growl. "She's been so lonely. She needs the company." The last thing I saw was the glint of that key as he lunged forward. The last thing I heard was the woman's final, desperate whisper merging with my own scream. The next morning, the sun rose on the Starlight Motel, rain-washed and quiet. A new traveler, stranded and weary, might pull in. The man at the desk would greet them with his tired eyes. He'd slide a key across the counter. Room 314. After all, it's the only one they ever have left. And the spirits inside are always waiting for new company. They get so very lonely, forever. Thanks for listening to my story tonight. If you enjoyed this chilling tale, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more horror stories every week. Stay safe out there, and maybe think twice the next time you check into a roadside motel. You never know who or what might have stayed in your room before you. See you in the next one.